a very good morning to one and all for participating in this most important webinar, in which today we have with us Mr. Kumar Vembu, founder and CEO of GoFrugal. Before we get into, I would like to thank him for having accepted and spending his valuable time with our students to address them. Of course, the topic of his speech will be on lucky to be a student, and especially learning is an art, no doubt, but as for some people it may naturally existing in them, otherwise for others they need to learn from others. We have such a person like you today who are going to address the students to teach them how to learn engineering as being expected by the industries. With these few words, I once again welcome the speaker of today's program, Mr. Kumar Vembu. Please, the session is yours. Please.
I request Dr. Tulasi to introduce the speaker to the participants. Tulasi, ma'am.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Tulasi. Yes,
yeah. Very good morning, and very good morning to Mr. Kumar also. And I'm happy to introduce Mr. Kumar Vembu, who is an engineer, entrepreneur, angel investor, and mentor for many startups. He started his entrepreneurial career in November 1995. He is the founder and CEO of GoFrugal Technologies, which is a leader in retail business management solutions for micro, small, and medium business in India. Mr. Kumar Vembu is also the co-founder of Zoho Corporation and was the president and COO of the company. Earlier to his stint as an entrepreneur, he was with Qualcomm, Intel Corporation, HCL HP, and Telnet Group of IIT Madras. Mr. Kumar is a compassionate, resilient leader who loves coaching youngsters, guiding them in their holistic development. And generally people working under him used to say that they feel empowered. And whenever they have any problem and go to meet him, he makes them do the problem or solve the problem by themselves. That is the motivation he gives to the employees. And above all these things, I am proud to and honored to introduce Mr. Kumar Vembu as my classmate. We both belong to the class of 86-90 batch from AC Tech Karaikudi. And as an alumni of our institution, he has been done a wonderful job to our institution by recruiting our juniors every year without any this hesitation. And he is a wonderful speaker and a very helping friend. And I'm honored to introduce you. Welcome, Mr. Kumar.
Thank you, Tulasi, for the warm welcome. And the only regret I have is you call me Mr. Kumar. When you say I'm your classmate. So I think if you drop the Mr., I'll feel happier. Okay. So good morning to everybody who has logged in to attend this session. And thanks a lot to Tulasi Boy, the principal, and all the faculties of the KCG Engineering College, KCG College of Technology, to invite me and to share my thoughts with you all. Right. So maybe everybody must be seeing the chat window open in front of you. So I will definitely be asking you a few questions, and you can use the chat window effectively to communicate to me, right? Because I can't see your face, right? But I can see your messages. I have the chat panel open in front of me. So we may spend the next 45 minutes to an hour together, but the more engaged we are, the more we can all learn. Okay. So with that request.
So sorry to interrupt you. We have a Q&A box also available here. So can we ask them to post the questions in Q&A so that it will be easier for you to answer live?
Sure. Yeah, you can post your questions on the Q&A box instead of chat. So I've got the Q&A box open now. So
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So let me first start explaining why I wanted to speak on this subject when Tulasi Bhai called me, right? So I consider, the batch of 2020 must be graduating as and when they write their exams, right? You all know, I don't know how many of you are in third year now, how many of you are in second year, entering the second year, how many of you are entering the final year. But definitely you must be knowing that when the 2019 batch graduated, the job market was very good, at least okay, right? Compared to 2016 batch, maybe the 2019 batch faced a harder job market, but compared to today, the 2019 job market was very good, right? But when the 2020 batch is graduating, there will be, you can say there are going to be three kinds of students who are graduating from an employment point of view. There are going to be people who are placed in their dream job, right, with their dream salary. So people who got a very good job going to join a great company, big company or a stable company kind of a thing. And there are going to be people who got a job, right? It may not be, their dream job, or it may not be to their liking. And the compensation or salary they got may not be to their liking. That is the second category of people. And there is going to be a third category of people who did not get a job in the campus, right? Who thought they will come out of the campus and they will do their job search, right? And of course, there are always a fourth category of people who think jobs are not for them, right? It is for ordinary mortals, and they may think that they will go for higher studies, or they will go abroad, or they will join their parents in their business or whatever, right? So I am sure the fourth category of people, will, they take responsibility for their career into themselves. So they will figure things out maybe faster, right? But if you look at these three categories of people, definitely in the first category, there are going to be some students who may find that, their joining date is getting postponed, or their offer is getting revoked. Then in the second category, there will be a much larger portion of people, who may find that their job offer is revoked or their joining date is postponed. And the third category of students are going to find it, very hard to find a job, right? So I want to start by saying, if you look at the magnitude of the problem, where are we? Because I don't know how many of you actually read newspapers and follow what is the impact of this coronavirus, right? If you look at it, in America, there are 160 million people who are working, who have jobs. See, in America, like, Western country, it is easy to get data. India data is, we don't have the data. So, but I will talk about India also. But in the 160 million, people who are working in America, 38 million people don't have a job now, right? Before coronavirus, that means on March 15th, 2020, America number of unemployed were 3 million people out of 162 million people who are working. Whereas post coronavirus, it has increased to 38 million people out of 162. That means 35 million people lost their job. That is close to 20 to 23% of the people, right, overall don't have a job. That's almost like 1 in 4 is not having a job. Maybe as I speak now, in America, 1 in 4 who had a job in March 15th, job on March 15th, does not have a job today, right? That is the extent of job losses due to coronavirus. A similar number is being talked about when it comes to Europe. The number of people who lost their jobs in Europe due to coronavirus, the similar number, if not 1/4, people talk about 1/5. 1 in 5 person lost a job in Europe, right? In India, if you, I don't know how many of you follow this. They say India has about 500 million people who work, right? 500 million people is about 50 crore. So India has about 50 crore people who are working. In that, people who get formal employment. So formal employment means people like you and me who go to a campus to find a job, who work in an organized company, who have a monthly paycheck, right? Who have a monthly paycheck, who are probably covered by the ESI, PF or insurance and things like that, right? So that people who work in formal sector in India is about 5 crore people. That means only 5 crore people, that is 50 million people, work in formal jobs in India, and the remaining 45 crore people are working in small factories or shops, which is not considered a formal employment. What is the primary difference between a formal employment and the not formal employment? In formal employment, people get their the labor law or whatever laws are there, right? The PF has to be paid, ESI have to be paid, the leaves and lot of other statutory protection, the monthly salary. There are a lot of those things that are there in the formal job. And in the informal job, you are basically at the pleasure of the person who has employed you. That means if the person says tomorrow you don't come to office, you don't come to work, you don't go to work, right? So you can see in a country with a population in excess of 130 crore, we have 50 crore people working. In that, only 5 crore people are in the formal employment, and 45 crore people are in the informal employment. And due to coronavirus, what has happened is both in the formal employment and in the informal employment, people have been very highly affected. In the informal sector, a lot of the people have lost their jobs. Right? We don't know the numbers yet. Right? In the formal sector, you read in newspaper about this company laid off or that company is not paying and the things like that. So there is a good amount of job losses even in the informal sector, right? So sorry, even in the formal sector. One data point I would like to tell you is there was a newspaper article 2 days back which said, based on the ESI and the PF office data, in March, the number of people who have joined newly into job is 60% less than previous March. That means that during the month of March, the number of new ESI PF account created, if that is one metric to go by, there is 60% less new joinees during March 2020 compared to March 2019, right? So April was fully locked down. Many companies were not doing any business, right? For example, if you are reading newspaper, you would have read that TVS Motors did not even sell one bike during April 2020. Right? Many companies follow the same thing. And there were even news articles saying even FMCG companies faced 35% lower sale. FMCG, many of them come under essential commodities, but even in the essentials, there is a 35% dip in sales. Right? So if you read a newspaper, yesterday, it says that the milk price, milk is now sourced at 15 rupee a liter. Pre-corona, the milk was getting at least 30-40% more price, right? So the reason I am saying all this is that every business, for example, any business will say that in 2020-21 financial year, if they do same business as last year, they will consider themselves lucky, right? But most businesses are looking at 10% less business, 20% less business, 50% less business, 70% less business, right? So everybody is looking at how can I have lesser degrowth during the next 1 year, right? So now that is how coronavirus has, basically altered the course of the industry, the course of the society, and the course of our own lives, right? So it is very important for us to understand this. So to put the numbers in perspective, right, Go Frugal was growing at 60% year over year over the last 2-3 years, right? Every year we were growing 60% compared to the previous year. This year we will consider ourselves lucky if we are able to remain flat. That means able to do the same business as last year, right? That is how challenging the environment has become, right? So how does it impact the job, right? So Go Frugal was about 330 people, when we completed March 31st last year. If we were in the same trajectory, we will continue to grow at that 50 to 60%. We would have definitely ended the year at, let us say, 430 or 440 people. That means during the next 12 months, Go Frugal would have added another 100, 110 people to our company. We would have added another 25% more people and we would have grown by 50 to 60%. In contrast, what is our plan now? We want to remain the same 330 people. Right? So we are not going to add the 110 people. That means in terms of number of jobs, Go Frugal would have created 100 more jobs in the next 1 year, and coronavirus has killed them. Right? Unless something pleasantly surprising happens, we are not going to create those 100 jobs. Right? And this is what is happening in every company. Right? So this means the 2020 graduates who will be graduating, I assume not many people are there from that year in this call, but they can also ask me questions. For them, even before they write their exams, their worries have started, right? Because they must be reading in paper, whether they talk to headhunter, whether they talk to companies. Most companies will say they are not recruiting, right? They are trying to stabilize, and many companies are laying off, right? That means the batch of 2020, you can say, they are jumping into fire as they graduate, right? They are coming out when the job market is going to be very, very tough, right? And they don't have time to reskill themselves, right? Because they have to find a job quickly, right? Many of them may have even a financial constraint and other things to find a job quickly, but they are coming out of college, in a very difficult job market. Whereas if you are just entering final year, you are just entering third year, or if you are just entering second year, you must consider yourself very, very lucky. Because imagine if the coronavirus has happened 1 year later, you would have been caught in the position of the 2020 graduating batch, right? So you should consider yourself very lucky, because as a student, you don't have any responsibility now. Paying your fees is your parents' responsibility. Paying your bill is your parents' responsibility. Right? Giving you the shelter, making sure you are healthy. Your parents have taken a lot of those responsibilities. So you are having a very carefree life. Right? Typically, when you graduate and look for a job and then go to a job, slowly you add responsibilities in your life. Right? That is when you understand, the weight of responsibility and the importance of time and a lot of other things, right? Whereas when you are carefree today, you know that there is a big titanic shift in the industry, right? In what is happening in the job market, what is happening to companies, right? You have to analyze all this, you have to process all this. And you have to make sure whether you have 1 year or 2 years or 3 years in the college, how can you realign yourself? How can you realign to the changing job market, right? Because the world is not going to be the same. In fact, there are people who predict that, 21, 22, some growth may return. 22, 23, it may take 3 years for India to come back to normal. So people, nobody says as soon as things open up, we are going to be normal, right? Some people say we will take 2 years. Some people say we take 3 years to come back to normal. And there are many people who say we will never come back to that normal, right? That means, we are going to be getting used to a new normal, right? So these are all the predictions of people, and we don't know, in fact, one anonymous opinion is we are actually in a territory called the unknown unknowns. Unknown unknown means nobody has been there before, right? Nobody knows what will happen, right? So we don't know what is going to happen, right? So that kind of environment. So, and you are there as a student without responsibility, without any pressure, without any stress, without worry about how much my salary will get reduced by, how much, whether will I have a job or not. If I lose my job, will I be able to find, another job quickly? All those worries are not there for you. And you don't have a, spouse to support or children to support, right? That means you are in the lucky position that anybody can be in, right? And you are not a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old, like they say in Tamil, the Ariyada Vayasu. So you are not in that kind of age bracket also, right? You are in an age bracket where you have to be responsible. You have to take responsibility. You have to take responsibility to prepare yourself for the future, right? That is the kind of stage you are in, right? So how do you do that? So now that you understand how the world is going to be different, getting a job is going to be difficult, and you have the time, you have the freedom, you have the, space to figure things out, how to realign yourself to the new normal, to the new future, right? So that is the thing I wanted to cover. Okay. So if, before I start, I want to just get into my own personal story a little bit, because I graduated, along with Tulasi Boy. We all graduated in the year 1990. I am very sure most of you students who are attending this session were not even born in 1990. So, but if you go and read India's history, 1990 is the year when India was, economically at its worst, right? So during the years 91, 92 is when India had to mortgage gold to repay some of its loans, right? And we hit the rock bottom, and then the economic liberalization started, and during the economic liberalization, a lot of businesses came, and we started growing, right? So in 1990, finding a job was very, very hard, because there were not many private sector employers. There were mostly public sector and government employers, right? The private sector was very limited. And even in the public sector and government, the recruitment numbers were very small because the economy was not doing great, right? So when I look back, come this June, right, maybe this month end or another week, we are all completing about 30 years from the date of our graduation, right? If my memory is right, we finished sometime in June, the final project Viva, and stepped out of our college, right? So we are probably a week or two short of the 30th anniversary from the day we got out of college, right? So if I look back at these 30 years, I have some connects in people who are my seniors, and I have connects with people who are my juniors. When I look at it, I would say we were the batch that graduated in the most difficult economic crisis, right? So when I look back as a batch of students, our batch has definitely done tremendously well in their job, because everybody struggled for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years to get a job. So when we found a job, we know, right, how important that job is, and we were holding on to it like nobody's business, right? In fact, in my own case, I spent the first 6 months after finishing college, at home as a VIP, right? Vela illa pattadar. So, during that 6 months, is my transition from a, carefree, like a very free college student to a responsible adult, right? Because, when you sit at home without a job, right? Like I also go out very often from the house, go to the shops, go to the market, talk to friends and things like that. So the society keeps reminding you that, you are an engineer, but you are still not able to find a job, right? And even at home, you get that reminder quite often, right? That you are jobless, right? So, so when I got a job in IIT Madras in the TNET group, right, I know, in fact, the first resolution I made is, before they found out I can't do anything, I do something so that I don't get fired. Right? So I used to work something like 16 to 18 hours a day in the lab so that I retain the job. In fact, I have never studied like that, or I have ever studied like that, right? But I worked like that because I felt guilty getting the salary without the contribution, and and I wanted to make sure I don't get fired and again land up as a jobless. That is how, by compulsion, I started doing whatever work was there with a lot of interest. And the moment I started succeeding in the job, I started developing a love toward that. So I started liking writing software or managing software projects or building software products and things like that. Because, by compulsion, I started doing that. Compulsion in the sense, compulsion within myself, not to lose a job. Right? So that means, when you graduate in difficult times, whether you succeed or not, and how much you succeed, all of them are in you. Right? You don't need anybody's help. You don't need, any favor from anybody. It is within you to succeed. You have to act responsibly. Right? You have to act responsibly. If you act responsibly, you can succeed. Okay? That is the mantra we have to keep in our mind, and that is what we have to convince ourselves. Right? So every day I have to do something, as a responsible professional or as a responsible student, to make sure, when I come out of college, I am highly employable. I have some skills, right? I can actually, find, rewarding work myself, right? So, I will give you 2-3 examples of what you can do. Most of the work, if you see, right? For example, I know in our office, many software engineers are working from home and they are very productive. I have invested in some companies where, people build, do AutoCAD or do machine design or other work. They also say, the designers also say they are able to just do everything, from remote as fine, right? So many of these design work can be done remotely. In fact, you can be sitting in India, billing in dollars and doing the work from your home. If you have sufficient skills, there are many marketplaces where you can bid for small projects and, do the projects and earn money, right? So, they call it the gig economy, right? How can you do such a short stint where your place of work doesn't matter, right? Then you are competing globally, right? You are a global talent. You are a global professional. You are competing with all the opportunities available across the world. You are not competing for opportunities only in Chennai. You are not competing for opportunities only in India, because you won't get a visa to go to some other country, right? You are competing for opportunities across the world, right? There are many such portals where, you can bid for projects, take the project, do it. And if your quality of work is very good, work is going to chase you. And if your quality of work is very good, you are going to charge higher and higher rates for your services, right? And you will be able to confidently walk into any job. If you want to do a job, for a short duration of time, because you want to do a longer duration engagement and things like that, you can also find a job very easy, right? So the similar opportunity, in my opinion, exists. For example, I was talking to a radiologist recently in January this year. Now, this radiologist was telling me about 80% of the radiology consultation he does is on the net. That means from his home, in the home computer, right? And he is consulting, radiology consulting for patients in all over India. That means he has tied up with some people. He sits in Bangalore, and as a radiologist, he gets whatever he needs to review and to give opinion on, electronically, right? So when he told this to me about 6 months back, I was shocked, because 80% of the work is significant for a radiologist to do remotely. This is in a non-COVID time. Then about 3-4 months back, I went for a health checkup, based on a doctor's advice, to one of the labs near my house. And he was doing a ECG. The previous time I had done a ECG about 5 years back, it was an oscilloscope kind of a machine that was there in front with the person who was taking the ECG, the lab technician. So this time the lab technician had a 7-inch Android tablet in his hand, and he connected all the things of a ECG, from that 7-inch Android tablet. So I asked him, is the ECG recording getting updated into getting stored in this Android tablet? and whether your radiologist or the cardiologist will see this and give the opinion. He said, no, sir, from this Android tablet, in real time, this, your, ECG is getting transmitted to a radiologist. So he might be looking at it now also, or it is stored in their system, right? And, this Android tablet is only for me to see things are all right, as a lab technician. But it is going to the radiologist using the internet in real time, right? So now you see, people who are developing the ECG systems, with their own hardware and systems and things like that, they were put out of business, and you have an Android tablet with whatever probes that are there getting used as a ECG machine, where the ECG readings are going to the cloud. From there, and from the cloud it is going to the radiologist, and the radiologist can give an opinion. So he told me within the next 1 hour, you will get an email with the consultant's opinion. So I drove back from the lab to home in 15 minutes. And then I checked my email, and in 15 minutes, the radiologist opinion was already in my mail. Right? So I explaining this because, the possibilities are limitless. Right? Either, as engineers, we can actually create these solutions. Right? There are lots of things, that are not done the way it should be done in the digital gig economy, because we were refusing to change, right? We were not changing at all, right? So think about it. I am a software engineer, in my job, in my profession, we have not seen progress like that. But, a lab has seen progress like that. A doctor has seen progress like that. They have seen more progress. I had a similar experience when I bought my recent car, right? The first time I sat on the car, what struck me is I just have to sit in the car and drive. I don't have to worry about whether there is fuel in the fuel tank, or whether there is, air pressure is right in the wheels, right? Or battery is okay, anything, right? The car monitors itself, we're using IoT technology. And in my dashboard in the car, I get messages, if the fuel level is low, or if the tire pressure is low, or whatever, right? That means I just drive, and the car tells me, okay, you have to, within the next 1 week, you have to give the car for servicing, right? Within the next 10 days, you have to do the oil change, right? Like that, the car is advising me, and my job, I don't have to worry at all. I just sit and drive. Right? So sometimes I feel sad that even today, some of the applications we develop and some of the apps we build don't have as much intelligence as this car or as the ECG system that I talked about, right? So all these are possibility. If a radiologist can do 80% of his consultation from home, I am sure he will be doing 100% of his consultation from home post coronavirus. If radiologist can do it, right? It is the quality of consultation he does, the quality of his depth of knowledge he has, the depth of skill he has, that's going to get him more and more, patients, more and more labs signing up with him and things like that. The same is going to happen for engineers also, right? So the only thing that is going to help you, face the challenges of COVID-19 and emerge as a winner, right, in the job market is how skilled are you going to be? Because just because you are in Chennai, you have a half-baked knowledge in some programming language is not going to get you a job. Because all employers are also going to find suitable candidates from across the world, because place of work may not matter, right? That they want the best talent available to do the job. So as a student, as a aspiring professional, the opportunity for you is, you can get jobs anywhere in the world. Depending on your skill, you can get paid, right? And the same is applicable for employers also. Employers can get access to, people anywhere in the world. Skill differentiates them, right? So in such a global market, if you want to be a very successful professional, you have to use this time, because you are lucky, you have got a 1 or 2 or 3 year window of opportunity now to upgrade your skill. You have to use this time to do something hands-on, It doesn't matter what engineer you are, right? If anything, do something hands-on, right? Do something practical, right? Do something which gives you skill, right? Because how much ever we read, we are not going to be skilled. We are only going to be knowledgeable. World needs skilled people. Knowledge alone cannot get us jobs, right? We need skilled people. So whatever branch of engineering you are in, whatever is your passion or interest, don't stop with just reading. Invest your time, invest your resources to be hands-on and learn, so that the post-corona virus, the world is your job market, right? You can work for any company anywhere in the world as per your interest, as per your passion, if you have the skill to do that. So I request you all to prepare yourselves to be the global professional and globally successful professionals, and my best wishes to you for that. And I'll stop here and I'll take some questions. So you can type your questions.
There are 2 questions in Q&A.
Yeah, yes, madam.
Yeah.
So there is a anonymous attendee has asked one question. So before I answer the question, I want to tell you one thing, anonymous attendee. Always please put your name to your question, because that is very good, right? No question is, meaning I don't know whether you have fear or you are shy in asking the question with your name, right? If it is any of those 2 reasons, first get rid of the fear or get rid of the, like shyness, because any question, can be asked. So his question is, or her question is, what is the interaction between multiple software intermediates, other API as Zoho frameworks? I am not able to follow his questions or her question. Maybe if the anonymous person explains it, I'll answer that. M. Manoj has a question. Poor family person, even student as well as going job, what to do during this condition? How to prepare against the stress? Yeah. See, I want to tell you one thing, Manoj. I understand that, sometimes, circumstances can make you stressful, right? You have to remember that, only when you have a problem, you don't know the solution, you get stressed, right? So as engineers, we are all problem solvers. Whatever is the problem, it need not be a mathematical problem or a physics problem or a mechanical engineering problem or an electrical engineering problem. It can be any other problem, right? Whatever is the problem, we have to work towards a solution. Okay, so that way you can actually, you will not have stress, you will only have pressure to get to the solution faster. So how do you get rid of the how do you start working towards the solution? So in my view, in fact, I have been in that stressful situation many times before. And what has worked for me is, first you have to do a lot of physical work, right? Meaning either physical exercise or yoga or something like that. Play for 2 hours a day or jog for 1 hour a day. Do something, because the more oxygen you breathe, the more healthier air you breathe. The more physically active you are, your mind becomes fresh, and your mind starts working towards the solution, right? And then don't be in a hurry to reach the solution, right? Work out the solution step by step and measure progress every day. Because if I don't know the solution at all, it is very stressful. If I know I am going to do something and get there within 60 days or 90 days or 150 days, I know that I have to endure the pain only for 150 days, right? So prepare a plan, work towards the solution. If you want the solution to be speeded up, invest more time, invest more on your physical fitness, add some more meditation to it, so that whatever work you do, you are able to complete it faster and you are able to make faster progress. Okay. So my thing is, stress must be avoided at all cost. The best way to prevent or avoid stress is to do good physical workouts and do meditation and keep your mind fresh and define a solution and keep making everyday progress towards the solution. So thank you, Vijay Lakshmi. Vijay Lakshmi is the anonymous person. So how can we develop our skill to get into the software company? Is Vijay Lakshmi's question. Good question, Vijay Lakshmi. So of all things, developing software skill to get into a company is the easiest to do, right? Because there are many, software, like you can say, tutorials available on the internet. Any technology you take, right? Any programming language you take, for everything tutorial is available. There are many online forums available. So the tutorials help you get started. The online forums, there are people available who will answer your questions and, help you with your challenges and things like that. So, if you just have a computer and internet, you can actually get started and learn anything you want to learn in software and do very well. Okay. And there are also paid program, right? But in my opinion, the best way to become a software engineer is, find the online tutorial for the technology, follow the online tutorial to the T, participate in the online forums and things like that. That is the easiest and the best way. And, do projects, because nothing beats a hands-on experience. So then Sadasivam Subbarayan has a question. What is your advice to the student who wants to work only overseas? Yeah, good question, Sadasivam.
He's our faculty actually. So
okay.
the faculty mentor. So he wants to know that.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for asking the question. It is a good question. See, I think, this going overseas, if the person has that aspiration in 2020 graduate, right, it is going to be very hard. So we should fast forward a little bit and see what is going to happen in the future, right? So India, if we started as among the last countries, with respect to the number of COVID-19 infections. And as we speak now, we are in the top 10 countries. We have overtaken China, and we are in the top 10 countries in terms of the number of COVID-19, patients or infections in the country, right? And our number of cases is increasing every day, right? Yesterday we had about 7,500 or so cases, right? So if you fast forward this, what is going to happen is India will end up as the #1 country. So it is only a matter of time, in my opinion, before we overtake actually the US and we become the country with the highest number of infections. So it is very easy because if you think about it, India has the population of all of North America, all of Europe, and a few more countries put together, right? So that means our population density, we are also a very small land mass, very small geographical area, within which, at least 2 continents full of people are packed here, right? That means the way the infection is spreading now, we will definitely end up as the nation with the topmost number of infections, much like what they say about the Spanish flu that happened in the early or 1919 or sometime like that, right? So what is going to happen because of this, right? Most of the foreign countries may even start travel between themselves. Like European countries may allow travel between themselves, or a Singaporean will be allowed to travel to Europe, or Europeans will be allowed to travel to Singapore, right? But this may end up in a situation where, Indians are looked at as more COVID prone or more as a COVID-19 transporter than other people till a vaccine is found, right? So people who want to work overseas or study overseas have to consider this COVID-19 reality. Whether, America or Singapore or Germany or UK, are they going to give a red carpet to us and say that the students from India is welcome, right? Because today Singapore has very low number of cases, right? That means, many times we have to use our sense to, a little bit to do a projection of how things are going to be, right? And in that situation, what we should do, right? So if I were a student, even yesterday, I had the aspiration of going to going abroad for my work, I will basically say next 5 years, I will do something here and then decide after 5 years what happens, how people look at me, right? Because no, it is even possible that we get some new form of untouchability because we are Indians, right? So I'm just saying these things are possible now, right? So we have to be aware of that because, it is if we become more and more cases, right? If you remember, there was a tweet by somebody, who said, thank God the virus did not originate in India. That the tweet got a lot of, opposition also, right? But in many people in Western countries, they don't have a high opinion of India, right? They think we are not hygienic or we are not organized and things like that, right? Now, the higher number of infections in our country, right, will only sort of make their own opinion stronger, for us to practice larger social distancing with us, right? So we have to, think about working here and doing something here so that, we say that, we can do better without those opportunities abroad. Okay.
Thank you.
And Ramya DS has a question. If you have one piece of advice to become an entrepreneur, what would it be? Right. So that advice is entrepreneurs rarely seek advice. So you should stop asking for advice if you want to be an entrepreneur, because that is what will give you the courage to follow your dream. All the best, Ramya. So Sweta Shri has a question. I am pursuing my interest in dark technologies. I have 3 questions. What is the future of cloud computing? What Zoho is planning to do to stay ahead? What are the plans for the future R&D by taking interns from Chennai? See, the future of cloud computing is very, very bright, because this, work from home trend, right? Even this Zoom meeting trend, right? I heard that your institution is also going to online teaching with Microsoft Teams and other tools, right? All of this means that the usage of solutions in the cloud is going to accelerate. So you can say everything will move to the cloud, right? When radiologists are moving to the cloud, when labs are moving to the cloud, when students are moving to the cloud, when teachers are moving to the cloud, you can assume that everything will move to the cloud. So the future of cloud is going to be very bright. And, not only Zoho, right? Any company, there is only one way to stay ahead. That one way is to invest on R&D, right? That means we have to innovate and we have to invent things before somebody else does, right? We have to have that first mover advantage, and using that, innovation and invention, we have to give real benefits to customer. So that is the only way to stay ahead. So I think in that sense, we should be investing more and more on R&D so that we can stay ahead, right? So as I said, you have asked about the plans for future in R&D by taking interns from Chennai. So as I said, definitely, we used to visit campuses because of the physical nature of the campus interviews and other things, right? People who are geographically closer to us, were getting more and more priority, right? But I believe, the job market and everything will become more and more, like online oriented, right? That means the quality of talent, the quality of skill, all those will be as important as, are you a local talent? Are you near, right? Meaning, while I say many companies may continue to come to Chennai campuses and recruit from Chennai and things like that, we should not be short-sighted, right? In the sense that, if the talent level available in Chennai versus talent pool available in some other city or some other colleges are much different, right? Then everybody will move to that. So that means how can you make sure, this is basically like a win-win relationship. How can you make sure, there are larger number of companies taking more and more people from Chennai? That is only by making sure you are very highly skilled. When you join a job, you differentiate yourself and show you are a notch above the rest, So the moment people see you, for example, you join from your college and you become a star performer in our company, we will say, guys from KCG are very good, let's go and take more people from KCG, right? So the responsibility of making sure more and more people get internship opportunities in Chennai company, more and more people in Chennai get R&D opportunity is in your hands. How can you make sure whatever opportunity you get, you will excel in it, so that your employer or the guy who gave you opportunity, feels successful, and he wants to replicate the success by taking more and more of your kind of people, right? So that is the only way to multiply that. So Sandhya V has a question. May I know which IT company in India will run smoothly in spite of COVID-19? So I think, I was telling you about this unknown, right? So unknown means we don't know, right? So I don't want to hazard any guess on that, because, see, you have to remember that, there was a survey done, about 4 days back, this survey result was out. What this survey was saying is, in urban India, 50% of the families will see either a reduction in income or an unemployment. I hope you heard me right. Okay, the survey says 50% of urban households, 50% of urban households will see a reduction in income or unemployment in all urban areas of India. Okay, so you have to now, this has to give you a sense of what is happening. So when such a thing is happening, right, it is basically like somebody is in travel industry, somebody in hospitality industry, they got affected in the head of the COVID-19, right? Now, if 50% of urban households are having lesser income, right, or unemployment, right, they are going to go out to restaurants less. For example, there are studies that says that, in India, people eat out, especially in urban India, people eat out about 4 times a month in urban areas in India. Whereas in Singapore or America, it is 40 times a month, right? So if an urban family eats out only 4 times a month in India, now because of this 50% unemployment, families facing unemployment or salary reduction, will that 4 become 3 or 2? The direct impact is on the restaurant. The indirect impact is there are going to be less jobs as a restaurant waiter, less job as a chef or a sous chef or a kitchen helper in the restaurant. The restaurants are going to buy less vegetable and fruits, less groceries, right? Less cleaning liquids. So that will affect the FMCG salesman. That will affect the FMCG manufacturing company. That will affect the FMCG jobs. And then they will buy less raw material, less machinery. So this is a chain reaction. So some people are going to be catching it at the head of the tail, head of a long rope. Some people are going to catch it at the tail, right? So only when this thing fully plays out, right? For example, only when India comes under control in COVID-19, we will know the full extent of damage for us to take stock and say what will happen in the future, right? Right now, India, the number of cases per day is increasing. That means we are on an accelerating trend. We are not in a decline trend. So that means these are early days in the COVID-19 pandemic, life cycle for us to hazard any guess on, whether anybody is shielded from it. I hope you got the answer. So then
both Saranya and Deepak, they both have asked similar questions, but Saranya is from biomedical engineering, I believe. And Deepak is from asking in general for mechanical and civil. So I think we can answer both together. Their question is, how do you think engineers from other core departments can become more skillful by trying a hands-on experience during this new normal time?
So
is
actually,
it like
I must admit, there are, they say in America, people who are only skilled in one thing as a single trick pony, right? So I am a single trick pony. That means I know a little bit of electronics and some computers and software, right? So I'm probably not very qualified to tell how a biomedical engineer or somebody can, skill themselves up, in, in this work from home condition or without necessary resources, right? But there is only one thing I know from my experience is, if you badly want something, right, the universe actually conspires to make it happen. So that means that if you really, do a tapas on this problem, right, and maybe do some Google searches on this, definitely you will get an answer. So I wish you all the best. I'm sorry, I'm directly not able to answer your question, Saranya. Okay. So the next one is again an anonymous. So somebody is not listening. So as a CEO, what is the way of inspiration you have? Yeah. So I think, the inspiration is always about, what problem you can solve and how much impact it can have. Right? Because ultimately, what is the, best you can do with your time? Right? How can we positively impact? You can impact your family, you can impact your society, you can impact your institute, you can positively impact your industry, right? So what inspires me the most is, how can I actually do something that will have a little more impact than what I did yesterday, right? More positive impact. So anonymous has another question: why engineering has become a rat race to get into software and IT companies only? So good question, but this question is not applicable to 2020. This was a right question in 2016 probably, or 2017, because in 2020, at least many people I know, right, they all talk. One thing that is good about today's 17-year-old, 18-year-old, what is different from, let's say, somebody who is 10 years older than you, is that most people today talk about their interest, what they want to do, what they don't want to do, what they like, what they don't like, right? All that, and having that like and dislike, having that, passion or interest. These are all the important things that actually help us, invest our life in doing something that is very creative or that is very impactful, right? Because if you take a developed world, right, whether it is Germany or America, people spend 30 years, 40 years doing the same thing, right? So that is when they master that, right? And they find easier and newer ways of doing things, right? For example, one of the company I have invested in, right, they do some solution on water conservation, plumbing, water metering and things like that, right? They were in touch with the German embassy, and they had a plumbing guy, a plumbing person from Germany advising them, who had worked as a plumber for 40 years in Germany. Right? Now the kind of skill he brings to the table, this is what the founders of this company told me, in terms of the plumbing job, right, is something that you just don't see it in India, because they work in large construction sites with many plumbers and things like that, right? Because that is the kind of involvement in the job, that is the kind of professionalism, that is the kind of perfection they have in the job, the understanding they have in the job, right? So you can imagine Germany sending a plumber with such experience to help a startup in Chennai. So we also have probably 1 million plumbers in India, right? So how is somebody able to distinguish themselves in that profession? So that is what we have to really look at. So I think the rat race to be in IT, is not there anymore, because I do meet a lot of youngsters with varying interest, right? And 90% of the things they are interested in, I don't even understand. That is the number of things they are interested in, right?
One question from Raj. Yeah, it's quite an interesting question actually.
Raj, when the skill set is the requirement for any employee, why software companies are not considering one with a gap after studies? No, I think Raj, it is very simple. You also don't consider company that gives importance to a gap after study. Right? See, you remember, employment is also, it has to be a mutually beneficial relationship, right? Like a company wants an employee, who is aligned to their culture, who is aligned to their, who is committing himself to their vision, right? Who will acquire the skills they want and do the project they want to be done and things like that. Because an employee also spends probably 60-70% of the time he is awake in the job. He has to choose a company where he will feel at home, right? Both in terms of culture, in terms of work, in terms of the team he works with, everything, right? So, because it is not easy to change the world. So there are companies that say your academic mark is very important. So a guy who does not have mark have to say that you don't deserve me, and make sure they prove that company wrong. Right? If a company says if you have gotten arrears, you are not eligible, you take a revenge on them. Right? There is a saying in English, the best revenge is to live well. Right? The way you take revenge on them is to do something that, when you tell them later, you missed me. Right? They, if you ever meet that company hiring manager or whatever, and if you happen to tell him that, he feels very sad that he missed you. Right? So that is the attitude we should have. Right? It is not a, that will put you in the right path where you can acquire skills and you can do well in your career. So I don't know why Anonymous are after me like this.
Actually, in the Zoom, they might have not named that, or they might have logged in through a personal email ID.
But like a couple of girls did, they could have at least typed their name.
Yeah. Please, when you type the question, you might not be knowing that it appears as anonymous attendee for us. So please type your name irrespective of whatever is your Zoom ID.
For example, when I want to, before I answer this anonymous question, I want to tell you one thing. Whenever I meet students, right, there is only one small exercise I do, which is asking people to introduce themselves. Right? In most colleges, most students introduce themselves as I am Lokesh Varan, third year mechanical engineering or something like that, right? So I always ask them, is that Lokesh? Is Lokesh all about third year mechanical engineering and KCG College of Technology? Or is there more to Lokesh? Right? So we have to look at our personality, right? We have to, when you are asked to introduce yourself, the best thing is to talk about, what you are interested in, what defines your personality, what you like, right? What you cannot put up with, right? Because when I go to a college, I want to meet, if I meet 20 students, I want to meet 20 unique human beings, right? I don't want to come out and say, I met a 16 computer science engineer, 3 IT engineer and 2 mechanical engineer, all third years, right? That's a very boring visit then. I don't get return on investment on my visit, right? So this you have to remember, wherever people ask you to introduce yourself, you are not your name, your year, your branch and your college. You are a lot more than that. So you can say that in the end, but not in the beginning. Okay. So Anonymous, you can also introduce yourself like that here. So how can we use this technology to save agriculture? Yeah, I think, the kind of work many Israeli companies have done on, agriculture, is amazing, right? So many Indian companies also now they use drones, and they use, drones to monitor, right? They do image processing to know whether a plant needs water or whether a plant needs a fertilizer or any minerals or whatever, right? So they do, image processing to do that, right? They use artificial intelligence and machine learning to, identify, what does a plant need to support its growth, right? They use a lot of automation to, control the watering or, applying fertilizers or pesticides and things like that, right? So using technology in agriculture is one of the, large opportunity areas, especially with the drones, image processing, computer vision, machine learning, AI and things like that. So definitely, we should look up to the companies in Israel who have done a lot of path breaking work to get very high productivity in agriculture using technology. So Lokesh has another question, which I don't understand. Will artificial intelligence has an end in future years? So if you mean, will it become, out of fashion? That means today a lot of people talk about AI. Will AI go out of fashion? See, my answer is, is human mind going out of fashion? Right? So we keep getting more and more problems to solve. Right? And we keep expecting better and better quality of life. Right? So same way, the way things are progressing with humanity is, for every problem we solve, we create 4 more problems. Right? So we should actually believe in our power of creating problems. Right? And the second thing is also about personalization. So see, one trend in technology today is, how can there be lot of personalization? Because the more and more data that is there, for example, like somebody says, I have a 120/80 blood pressure. People immediately say it is normal. Somebody says it is 140/100. People immediately say that is high pressure or something, right? How can it be personalized if, if we know what is the person's socio-economic background, what is his job, what is his regular routine? Based on that, we say, right? So the more and more data is available to us, the more and more personalization is coming in all fields. That means the scope of the problem is increasing, right? That means for a very long time to come, some of these technologies that we use today are going to be used to solve, more and more problems, to bring about better and better, improvement to our quality of life and, even to our quality of professional lives. So Mr. Ayanar has a question. He's welcome, sir. He is from Tyagarajar Polytechnic College, Salem. So his question is how the fresher recruitment will go in upcoming years. So see, I think, in my own view, the race is always between people who are employed and people who are going to be graduating. In the sense that if we are able to, if the students equip themselves, they come out better skilled, they come out as better problem solvers, right? So experience can be gained in the industry. And if somebody can really solve problems, it cannot be hidden. So there will always be good opportunities for them. So it is not academic qualification, it is about skill, especially the problem solving skill.
There are many questions still coming up. So I think for you, the time also, if you are okay, that we can take these last 2-3 questions, or I'll ask them to connect with you in LinkedIn.
Sure, I'll answer these 3 questions. And
okay, thank you.
Shweta Shri has a question. For budding technocrats like us, going by your experience and vision for the future, what would be your advice for the skills to pursue? Every year with new technology emerging and evolving into new shapes rapidly, where do you think we should focus our time and efforts, and what skills to pursue? Shweta Shri, this is a very good question, right? See, remember, like I said, I have completed 30 years working, right? But when I think about it, I feel very young, and I think I can work another 20 years at least, right? So that means that most of us are going to pursue our career, for, if you graduate at 21, because the life expectancy is increasing, right? People say the right time to retire is the life expectancy minus 15 years. That means if India's life expectancy is, let's say, about 76 or 75 years, 77 years, the time to retire is about 62 years. By the time you grow up, India people may live up to 85 very easily or 90 very easily. Then you may be expected to work up to 75, right? So that means as the students who are there now, you are all looking at a 50-year career. You have to remember our parents, my parents, my father at least had a 30-year career. right? I will probably have a 40 to 50-year career. Most of you are definitely going to have a 50-year career. Okay. So what is important when you start a marathon like a 50-year career is that you identify what is of interest to you. Because there is opportunity for everybody, there is opportunity in everything. Right? The world is going to have a lot of personalization, lot of, so it is all about your mastery and your skill. Right? So for all the students, my advice would be, as they say in English, right? If you love what you do, you don't have to work. Right? So that is what you have to take it as your mantra. Right? That means you have to identify your interest. How do you identify your interest? The only way to identify interest is to try a lot of things. Don't decide anything without trying. Right? Don't decide that you are not good at something without trying. Right? Don't decide, that you are not good at something by looking at somebody else do that. Right? Those are all very bad things. Just because somebody else does it very fast doesn't mean you won't be interested in it or you won't be good at it. Right? So you try. As a student, the one opportunity you have is you can try anything and everything you want. Right? You can spend 2-3 weeks to learn software. If you feel like it, do more of it. Right? You can try your hands on 2-3 weeks of something else. Right? Try a lot of things so that you decide what you are interested in. Because you have to understand that you have a very long road ahead of you. We all may have to work 40 years, 50 years. Right? Prepare yourself for that.
Actually, Sweta Shri is doing first year computer science at KCG. I think this pandemic has put her into so much of pressure about what to do next and how to handle it, So that's why she has posted many questions.
Okay. Yeah. Good, Sweta Shri. Good to know that, you are, you have just got into the college and you have so many questions in your mind. Definitely you should keep your curiosity alive, and that is the only way to learn and find your interest. Okay. So her next question is, I'm very keen to pursue my career in research and development. I'm not sure if there are many companies in Chennai who are investing in next generation technology, which is making me to pursue my higher education in US. It would really be helpful if you could advise me on this. See, the reason companies are not pursuing research and development in Chennai is because people like you are not working in Chennai. Right? It's a chicken and egg problem. You have to remember that. Right? So one thing is US will change. Right? Already you are seeing about US that, migrants are not welcome. Right? About 25% of the people are not having jobs now. Right? So the first priority for them is to fix their own economy and their own society. Right? And you have also started hearing that, many universities in the US are facing financial problems, right? Because, the truth is, many of the students from India and Asia are the ones funding the US colleges, right? But with our fees, right? You have to really think whether hard-earned money in India, which is valued at 1/70th of a dollar, right? Should it be spent in getting educated there? Right? So there are, in my opinion, lots of opportunities. Whichever area you want to do R&D into, there are enough companies, enough entrepreneurs, when they see skilled and dedicated engineers who would want to do R&D here, right? So, remember that we are not part of the problem, we are part of the solution. So if we want to do it, it is possible. I want to tell you, I came back from the US in '95. I worked for about a year in Intel's supercomputing systems division and in Qualcomm, right? I thought, I enjoyed working in India better than I did in the US with the engineers there. So I thought a lot better can be done in India because I found our engineers to be a lot more hardworking and a lot more dedicated. So in '95, I came back and we didn't have money or we didn't have anything. And we were able to build products and we were able to build a company which in about 25 years has become the largest product company in India. Right? And it started in our house in the, in our first floor of our house. with one person, right? So that is all possible, right? Then, today you can do R&D to compete with anybody in the world, right? So there are lots of companies willing to invest in R&D, right? It is just that, you have, for example, as a GoFrugal, I can tell you this, where our top-notch talent in India wants to go and work for the Google, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, PayPal, right? And the next crop of top talent wants to work for Zoho, Freshworks, and things like that, or a cool startup that got its funding yesterday, right? So you think about, why, somebody who wants to solve a real problem for India is not getting the best of talent, right? So it is talent that builds companies, right? It is people who make a company. Right? So if our attitude change, the brightest people, instead of seeking the coziest working place, if they seek the most challenging problem for their mind, right, their employment choices will change. That will redefine what India is, how many jobs we can create, what R&D can happen in this country. Because today, people with problem don't get the right people to work for them. People with money get the people to work for them, where I would actually say with money, they make sure those people work, not work to their potential. Right? I can say this boldly anywhere with proof that, many people who go to Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft, Google, and things like that, they don't work to their potential, right? They can do a lot more if they just join some other company which have a lot more challenges, lot more problems. And, over a period of time, they can also earn as much or more in those companies. So the final question is from Vijay Lakshmi. I think she is the same Vijay Lakshmi that asked the first question. So self-introduction is the place where we all get caught. So how can we make it more presentable? Yeah, very good. So the self-introduction, I agree with you. Many people actually struggle because they think they are their name, year in college, branch of study, and the college name, right? So the best thing I would say is that you start introducing yourself in front of the mirror, right? And better still is introduce yourself in front of the mirror and record your voice in your phone so that you can play it back to yourself and see whether you enjoy your company, right? You enjoy meeting yourself, right? That is the best test. So it's basically like, what do you, when you meet somebody, right? What do you want them to know about you? Right? You don't have to fake yourself, right? You be real, right? But what aspect of you, for example, if you meet your teacher the first time, what aspect of you is going to make the teacher feel, okay, I've got a good student, or I've got a challenging student, whichever way, right? So the teacher, knows you as a person, right? If you are meeting your employer, what aspect of you the employer should know from your introduction, so that the employer gets more interest to know about you, right? Finally, many companies now have gotten to the view that they employ people, so they want to understand the people. In digital economy, people are no longer an employee ID, right? We everywhere, whether it is school or college or companies, we have to, our society, we have to understand that every person is unique and everybody brings a certain strength. Everybody has certain weakness. So if we want to work as a team, we have to use the other person to their strength, and we have to cover them up for their weakness, right? That means that if you want to work very effectively in a team environment, that team members should not only know your strength, but also your weakness, so that, you can collaborate with them, where, the team benefits from your strength and the team covers you up for your weakness, right? So you have to look at the context, you have to look at, understand yourself better, and you have to present yourself so that you make an impression, right? So that genuinely there is a conversation to understand and make decisions. if decisions have to be made at the end of the introduction. Right? So that is all I would say for that, and thank you, Swetashri. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. And if you remember, I think almost a year back, me and Tulasi visited Go Frugal, met you and Amuda, and we were spending, more than 1.5 hours together with you. And, coming out, we were just thinking, how homely or the feel that that we got, when we were sitting there. The way you spoke about your each and every employee and their family and their employee's son now getting into your job. In fact, if you remember, you introduced one of your employee's son to answer that breakup studies. In fact, immediately that caught my memory. Go Frugal and Zoho, in fact, both of them encourage anybody with any skill. They don't mind about anything else. And I think you introduced one person also when we came there. But from then on, we were trying to get you to talk to our students, and it was a long period, but then finally COVID has made it possible for us. And thank you so much again for your time, for your valuable time. And we hope to get you to the campus once to address a larger gathering also.
Thank you, ma'am, and wish you all the very best, and thanks a lot for your patience, and stay safe.
Thank you. And especially your point about when you compared yourself with graduating at a tougher time, I think our 2020 graduating batch would have got a much more confidence now, after hearing you. So I think they all have a much better future than the previous and the next batch. So thank you so much for the confidence you gave to our students also. Thank you so much. Thank you. You too. Thank you. Bye.